Good evening. I'm Socrates Garrett, and we're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South, right here in the African-American-owned broadcasting studio. WeBelieveDigital.com, our own platform. And so it's critically important that in the African-American community, we control the narrative. I look forward to receiving opportunities to show and advertise your products for goods and services and to move your brand along in this community. We're broadcasting live on Facebook. When We Believe Digital Podcast, go to Roku and download our app, and We Believe Global, with shows like this to bring articulate, intelligent conversations and dialogue to our platform. So I'm here to continue sounding the alarm. This is how the South is going to rise again. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Socrates Garrett Live, being brought to you right here from Jackson, Mississippi, in the heart of the Deep South. Jackson, Mississippi, 82% African-American population, controlled by African-American government in both the city, the county, the school board, and the airport authority. Over $1 billion annually flows through the hands of African-Americans leadership right here in Jackson, Mississippi, the poorest state in the whole world, and Jackson, where 40% of its population is below the poverty level. We control everything, and we're getting farther and farther behind. So welcome to another edition of Socrates Garrett Live. You know, we're broadcasting live on our website, WeBelieveDigital.com. On Facebook, we're We Believe Digital Podcast. YouTube, We Believe Digital. Roku TV, We Believe Global. You can advertise with us at 800-492-5186, option 1. You can call into the show tonight at 800-492-5186. We're also simulcasting and broadcasting live with Wmpr radio station, an African-American owned and controlled radio station with over 100,000 watts of broadcast power throughout the state of Mississippi. So we should be able to get the word out. We should be able to control the narrative. But yet today, I'm really burdened because on yesterday, our city council had before it a recommendation from the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, and Wmpr, to award the low bidder for the collection services of garbage in Jackson, Mississippi, to an African-American owned firm, Mr. Richards, out of New Orleans, Louisiana, with over 60 years of business experience, over 108 trucks rolling down the streets in New Orleans, picking up garbage at 100,000 homes, 20,000 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 80,000 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Our mayor now went through this administration, went through a process what they call a blind bid, where no names were on the proposals. No one scoring the proposals knew who the proprietors of the proposals were. A completely blind bid designed specifically to eliminate all of the foolishness that we had in the last go-around. And when they made their recommendations, they did their tallies and recommended the low bidder, which just happened to be an African-American-owned firm. Our city council, 5 African-Americans and 2 whites, rejected the mayor's recommendation again. Now, it's something really wrong, something rotten in Denmark, when an African-American-owned firm is the low bidder, has the experience, has the capacity, and yet he's voted down by African-Americans. Something rotten with that. And we're not going to just keep talking about it and pontificating each week about it. We're going to have to take stronger action to correct this. but there's something wrong with our people. And my guest, as always, is Dr. Eldridge Henderson, an individual that has been a pioneer, that has fought his way through Mississippi's racist past and established himself as a leader and a communicator and an author in this marketplace. Doc, it's good to see you again. I have to come to you tonight with a troubling heart. Something wrong with your people.
You are going to again accuse my people of being wrong. Before I address that, I want to say thank you for saying that, because you are at least 100% correct. We're going to address that issue, Mr. Socrates, and I want you to know that there are always solutions to any problem. And if one would look at the structural part of that problem and the motivations that are being addressed secretly and privately, and then public decisions are made, I could almost assure you that there are hidden information that people have received before they made decisions. And usually a decision is made by others when one is in office, when he doesn't have the real power to make decisions that's going to impact his constituents. That is exactly what happens in situations where the elected and appointed officials don't have the leadership ability, the skills, and the independence to be strong and forceful and do the right thing. They want to be accepted. They want to be loved. And they want people to feel good about them and not look at them as a threat. But history shows people like that, Mr. Socrates, have serious burdens to bear after they are rejected by the same individuals and collective groups that they try to appease. That's all I'm going to say about that right now.
Well, I tell you, we're going to say a lot more because, as I said earlier, we're not going to just sit by idly. Let me give a little history on this situation for our viewers all across the world. You know, Waste Management has held the contract for garbage collections in the city of Jackson for 35 years. 35 years. And when the administration was unable to negotiate a contract, or well, when the bids had to go back out for bids, the city sent out a request for proposals, and 3 people responded. 3 companies: FCC, Waste Management, and Richards Disposal Services. The mayor recommended FCC, said they had the lowest price, and said that that's who he thought the city ought to hire to do their collection services. The council rejected FCC on 2 separate occasions. They flat rejected the administration's recommendation on 2 separate occasions. Then when the mayor was unable to negotiate a contract with the second provider, which was Waste Management, the mayor declared an emergency declaration, because it was months before garbage would be all over the city of Jackson. And in that emergency declaration, he was unable to negotiate with Waste Management, so he chose a firm, Waste United, National Waste United, an African-American owned local firm that put up a $250 million letter of credit and the performance bond necessary to do the work. The mayor entered into the contract. Our city council, 5 African Americans on this city council, 2 of those 5 African Americans voted to nullify the contract with National Waste United by declaring that there was no emergency that authorized the mayor to enter into the contract in the first place. The council actually went to court to try to get the courts to give it the authority to overrule the mayor's responsibility and allow the council to select the contractors. The court denied their petition and told them that there was a separation of powers in the government and that the executive branch had the sole responsibility to review proposals and make recommendations to the council. So now the mayor's up against the wall again because we're 24 hours now from garbage being on the streets of Jackson. So the mayor had to enter into a 6-month contract with Waste Management while he sent out a request for a proposal for the second time. Now, remember this. During the emergency declaration, African Americans were awarded the contract, local folk. Our council members, and specifically Aaron Banks and Vernon Hartley, voted to overturn and take that contract away from African Americans. It's a sad day in Jackson, Mississippi. But I knew that self-hatred was so real in Jackson, Mississippi until I said that they did it because they personally did not like the minorities involved in the contract, specifically Socrates Garrett, Dwayne Pickett, Lee Bush, and Charles Pickett. So if you have that much dislike for an individual, then you vote it down and nullify the emergency declaration. But Dr. Hendricks, when an African-American firm from New Orleans, Louisiana comes out as the recommended firm to do garbage collection services on the third go-around, and our local African-Americans reject an African-American firm from New Orleans, Louisiana, it tells me that this hatred is not geographically bound, it's universally applies to all African-American firms, wherever you may reside, and it sends the signal that you're never going to get anywhere, you're never going to have an opportunity because your own people will make sure that it's denied. That's my observation.
That is a valid observation, but let me suggest something to you. You will find that the individuals that are always fighting against the leadership usually have a desire to be a leader. When a city council person is on the city council for 2 or 3 terms, he wants or she wants to move up. And when they want to crucify black people, that's a sign there that they have that what I call minority plus feeling, where they're going to get people like you out of circulation economically because they dislike something you have done or alleged you have done in the past, whether you did it or not. You know, you have a history of performing in an excellent manner in your construction. You've had contracts in Hinds County and other places. But for some reason, and you can answer this, did you have any beef or rift with those 2 council people any time to your knowledge?
No, I was a firm and strong supporter of Aaron Banks, probably one of his largest contributors and advisors early on. And so, no, I did not. And so this indicates to me that their loyalty and their desire to save Waste Management is greater than any personal relationship that they've had in the past. And it doesn't matter whether or not they have to destroy African Americans in order to please their white masters. They are prepared to do that and have demonstrated now on more than one occasion.
Well, you have to understand, too, when something has been done on a continuous basis, people love to make others suffer. To give you an example, last week we were talking about a meritorious manumission, where black folks will do anything they can to please white people. They want to save the white people, thinking that they're going to get praise and get a benefit themselves. And during the slavery period, all they would do where if they were save a life, they might give the black person their freedom, but still he would only have the freedom of the freed blacks, which were almost as bad as slavery. Matter of fact, it was worse, because the freed black had to find their own food, clothing, and shelter. The slave had a chance to get his free.
Well, Doc, I tell you, we're gonna deal and dive real deep into this evening, and we're gonna come up with some solutions to this problem. I mean, it's game on now.
Well,
I mean, this is a war that we're going to win. We're going to correct this deficiency in the black community. We're getting ready to go to a commercial break, and so I want you to don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these brief commercials.
I do have some solutions.
COVID's pioneering coronavirus protocol firm, S2-E COVID Solutions, is paving the way forward for a safer city government, delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols which have been developed internationally by top virologists and scientists, using an all-natural cleaning solution that kills COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. Let S2-E COVID Solutions provide innovative, rapid facilities testing and world-class, state-of-the-art biorisk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
Well, we're back. Again, we're broadcasting live right here in Jackson, Mississippi. We're broadcasting from our own broadcast studio with our own network, WeBelieveDigital.com. You can find us on Facebook at We Believe Digital Podcast, YouTube at We Believe Digital, Roku TV at We Believe Global. For advertising opportunities, call us at 800-492-5186, option 1. To comment and share with us tonight on the radio, call 800-492-5186. We're broadcasting in over 139 countries. We're also simulcasting with our sister radio station, Wmpr, with 100,000 watts of broadcast power, owned and operated by Wanda Evers, the daughter of the giant Charles Evers, which is the brother of Medgar Evers that gave his life trying to free black people. And I know Medgar and Martin would be hurt today. I know they would turn over in their graves at what's going on in Jackson, Mississippi today after they gave their life to try to get better opportunities for our folk. To have African Americans deny an opportunity to award a contract to the lowest and best bidder for garbage collections in this city. For the third time, to deny African Americans that opportunity. And just people understand the global impact of what's happening here. If African Americans can spring out of Jackson, Mississippi, the South could rise again. If African Americans get the contract for garbage collections in Jackson, Mississippi, African Americans in Baltimore, Maryland would get a contract. And Memphis, Tennessee would say, well, we can do it if they can do it in Jackson, and San Diego, California, and it would be a ripple effect throughout this country. And black folks will begin to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Think about all of the auxiliary businesses that come along with the contract, all of the fuel supplies, all of the tires, all of the insurance, the body repair shop, the temporary laborers, insurance companies. All of those things are tied to that economic engine, which is over $50 million contract over the next 6 years. But it was denied for the third time to African Americans, and I'm mad about it. You see, we're not going to just keep talking about it on this radio. Tonight, I'm announcing that we're starting and we're launching the shadow government in Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to broadcast live the city council agenda, and we're going to establish council people in every ward to be represented on that panel, and we're going to have our own mayor. And we're going to discuss all of the economic issues that arose during that month in the city of Jackson. One week we'll take the city of Jackson, the next week we'll take Jackson Public Schools, the next week we'll take Hinds County, and the final week of the month we'll take the Airport Authority, and we'll keep rotating that and bringing that information back to you. And we'll tell you exactly how the community folks voted versus how the elected people voted. We'll talk about the amount of their dollars that were awarded in the contract and who it went to. What white firm got how much, and what percentage did black folk get in a black controlled city. So we're launching the shadow government the 1st of February. Right now we need individuals that are committed to bring better leadership to this city, to bring complete transparency to this city, to talk about what's happening and to come up with solutions. So if you're interested in being a representative from your ward, please contact us. Please contact us here at the broadcast studio. If you're interested in being a representative from one out of all 7 wards, we're going to select 7 people, and we're going to select a mayor, and we're going to have a paid position like the city clerk that's going to go to that agenda and pull every economic agenda item to be discussed by this shadow government. And then at the end of the quarter, we're going to publish a report card, and we're going to grade the effectiveness of all of our elected officials. Every quarter, we're going to send out a report card on how they perform in the area that means the most to the African American community. That's the economy. The shadow government is coming next month. Then besides from that, we're going to launch and initiate a lawsuit against the city of Jackson. We're going to initiate lawsuits against the city of Jackson for discrimination as it relates to the 2 white council people that continue to vote against African Americans' interests and have stated publicly that they would not support an African American firm. We're going to find a way, since we can't file discrimination lawsuits against black people, we're going to find a way to bring charges against the black African American city elected officials and elected officials all across this country that continue to deny opportunities to black folk. We're going to have to take it to the courts. No difference than the Black Farmers Association. The only way they ever got any relief from the discrimination and the historical discriminatory policies that were being applied all across this world, they had to do it in the courts. And African Americans here in Jackson, Mississippi, have got to take it to the courts. We can't take it to the streets. We got to take it to the courts. Then when we do have an opportunity to take it to the streets, we're going to recommend that African Americans in Jackson, Mississippi, boycott Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to say that if the dollars that we send down there does not come back in our community, then we ought not spend any money in this community. We're going to advocate strong, hard, tough policies designed to correct this craziness that's going on in our community. You heard me right. I said we're going to boycott it. And then we're going to take a strong look at new leadership other than black people. New leadership that will bring opportunities into an 82% black community that is currently being denied by its own people. Shadow government coming next month. The lawsuit coming next month. A boycott coming next month. We're going to continue to do these things until we get some relief from what's going on here in this city. Doc, we're in difficult times. Martin Luther King said we got tough times ahead.
But one thing that's different this time, you don't have a dream. You have decided you're going to take some action in 30 days. The theory is, if you want something done, you put a corrective action plan together And in 30, 60, 90 days, with an agenda, a timeline, and a checklist, which you just explained, you can change anything in 30, 60, 90 days. One component that you didn't tell the voters about, the word is voting. The research shows that there's not one position in Hinds County where an elected official won with over 50% of the votes in the initial election. Less than 50% of the registered voters vote in Hinds County. So with this shadow government, the clerk and others, a bunch of volunteers going to get together and register new voters and call them once a month, concentrating in high school graduates and college students and those young people from 18 to 35. There is no way the present ineffective leadership, and I'm not talking about all of them, just those that are ineffective presently, can win at the next election if you follow through with the shadow government and a new voter registration plan that's going to concentrate on high school students and college students, because that's where the new politicians are. You know, Mr. Socrates, you got to get new leadership. Now, you talked about the fact, which a lot of people are not going to agree with, but from what I'm hearing, more and more people are talking about it. You are talking about the possibility of what they call non-minority leaders in a majority situation. History is showing now that most of the big black cities have non-black mayors now, and you can name them, that had black mayors several years ago, now white folks, males and females, taking those cities. Jackson will be another one. There are 4 Caucasians right now in Jackson, Mississippi, just waiting to be approached to run for mayor. You know who they are? I'm not going to mention the names. They will do it themselves when they are ready. But I'm telling you, Jackson is being diminished. There's only one part of Jackson that is significant in the scheme of things as far as the leadership is concerned. And I'm not talking about the black leadership. I'm talking about the white leadership, the special interest groups that are really managing Jackson. The groups have already taken downtown Jackson. Just recently, the legislature decided to take North and East Jackson, put it under their bannership. Prior to then, they already had the district of Jackson, North and East Jackson, lined up with the medical mall and all that area. That's where the money is going. That's where they're building new streets and paving streets, putting down pipelines. So it appears that Jackson is at a point with or without new leadership. There just might be an appeal put together to the legislature that Jackson is divided and create a new city in the metropolitan area, similar to what they did in Hinds County in Byram, and have a new city, New Jackson, without Seoul, North Jackson and East Jackson. Why do you think the legislature put certain parts in the House District Guest area? You know, he is in the U.S. House. I think Benny Thompson had part of the city of Jackson. So his has been diminished, his space. Thundering, Midtown, and East Jackson, getting the other resources that I mentioned. Improve the city roads, sewer system. They're going to have new water districts around Jackson. The city council cannot do the things they need to do with North, West Jackson, and South Jackson because others are going to be pulling away gradually, pulling all the resources.
Well, I will remind our viewers that we have a 1% sales tax that our citizens pay on everything that they buy in the city of Jackson. Over 80% of the dollars collected from the 1% sales tax go into white council people's wards.
And that's North Jackson and Northeast Jackson.
That's North Jackson and Northeast Jackson. Over 80% of the dollars that are collected from the city of Jackson go into the white people's ward. And those white people say they won't do business with minority firms, and they want to drill the mayor on who are the minority subcontractors in the proposal. Who are the African Americans that stand to pull themselves up by their bootstraps? We want to make absolutely certain that does not happen. Tell us who they are. And the mayor and the contractor, Mr. Richards, said I met every requirement that was asked of me in the proposal. I don't have a list of all of the people, but that's why Ashby Foote, the white Republican council person over in Ward 1, he wanted to know who were the local blacks that were involved in the politics so he could kill that. Boy, it's something sinister going on here in Jackson, Mississippi. But we're getting ready to go to a station break. We'll be right back.
COVID's pioneering coronavirus protocol firm, S2-E COVID Solutions, is paving the way forward for a safer city government, delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols which have been developed internationally by top virologists and scientists, using an all-natural cleaning solution that kills COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. Let S2-E COVID Solutions provide innovative, rapid facilities testing and world-class, state-of-the-art bio-risk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
We're live. We're broadcasting live right here from Jackson, Mississippi, in the heart of the Deep South in Mississippi, where Mississippi is still burning. And Jackson, Mississippi is the kindle. Jackson, Mississippi is burning more than Mississippi is burning. We're seeing some things that happen in here with African American leadership that we never would have dreamed of in 100,000 years. We never would have dreamed that 5 African Americans on a city council of 7 would vote to deny an opportunity to a black business person with over 108 trucks rolling the streets every day, collecting garbage in New Orleans, over 80,000 homes and over 20,000 homes in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and was the low qualified bidder for Jackson, recommended by the mayor and administration, just to be denied and voted down by a city council. Aaron Banks and Vernon Hartley voted against the award to Richards Disposal Service out of New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm not here fighting for Richards Disposal Service. I have no interest in that business and that company, but I don't like black people being treated this way. I worked too hard. My father worked too hard. All of the civil rights leaders worked too hard to allow this kind of shenanigans to go on. Now, we've always had black people to betray the movement and black people to tell the White Citizen Council, you'll find them in the Sovereignty Commission report, to tell what black people were doing. Of course they knew when James Meredith was going to be marching from Memphis, Tennessee to Jackson, Mississippi, where he was gunned down. Of course they were told where he was and when the march was going to be by black people. It's nothing new to have black people turning and betraying the black community. But when we vote and send our people down there and they do that, it's difficult to stomach. I can't digest that. I don't know what would make an individual do that. I understand that you may be receiving benefits, some type of compensation from Waste Management that has a contract for over 35 years. I understand that might be the case, but would you take 12 pieces of silver and deny 80,000 or 152,000 black folk in the city of Jackson? Would you take 12 pieces of silver to do that? History says you will not be remembered well. History is not going to be kind to individuals that has done that. There will be some sleepless nights in a lot of communities, because as we get poorer and poorer and crime rises higher and higher and all of our businesses and our communities deteriorate, we're going to blame that on the people that created that situation, and that's African American elected officials. Dr. Henderson, we're going to have to do something about our leadership.
Well, I think you have the key. A shadow government and a new voter education campaign, and highlight the traitors that are causing these economic problems for these qualified black people. It's no secret who is voting against black interests. It's no secret. Many people are saying privately why they are doing that. But I always say, in my experience, and I've read a few history books from time to time, there are certain people, and this is not popular to say, that are not in a position to be an elected official because of economic reasons. That is hard to say, but the fact is, the human enemies of mankind check out individuals in leadership positions when they can't maintain their economic stability themselves. That is like a person that's sick, that's weak, and the doctor won't help him unless he agrees to something. And I'm not saying anyone is doing anything illegal, but the enemy knows when they come in and give you a lift and tell you that you're a good man, you're a good woman, and I have something for you. Those people that do those kind of things, that are backsliders, think they are going to get promoted within a year or two. But in most cases, it never happens, because the very people that give them the goods and the service that's done on a temporary basis always reject those people, because when they get to the next level, they're not going to give them an opportunity, because they're not going to have any trust for those folks. No trust. They're going to find them someone else.
Because if you will betray your own people, you will betray your new partners.
Exactly right. They know that.
They know that.
We call that white supremacy and institutional racism. White folks been telling themselves since 1457, I reviewed this, that we know how to deal with black folks. We know who to target. We know who to leave alone. And as long as they do what I say, you're going to be all right. Give you an example. Martin Luther King. When he was running around talking about integration and love everybody and I have a dream, white folks would cheer him on. But time he started talking about economic parity in America, in the South, equality, positive education opportunities for blacks, and stop that war in Vietnam. White folks said, boy, you out of your league now. They had meetings with him, and he didn't recant. So I bet he called his wife and said, I do have a dream. I've been to the mountaintop, but I will not go down in the valley. I won't be here long. He knew he was gone.
He knew it was gone.
And that's going to happen to others. They're going to be rejected.
It's got to happen, Doc. It's got to happen. There's got to be something bigger about an individual than his personal self-interest. There's got to be something in an individual that knows that when your people rise, that the community rises, that black folk in it will rise. There's got to be somebody that understands the fact that if we had 600 black businesses that were strong in a city of 152,000, that all African Americans in the city of Jackson could be employed by African Americans. And where do they get this business from? Over $1 billion flows through under control of African Americans. Over $1 billion. And let me just give a shout out right here, right now again, to the mayor of the city of Jackson, who had the courage on more than one occasion to award a contract to an African-American firm to pick up garbage in this city. He did that during the emergency declaration. The council rejected it and turned it down. He went into a blind bid process where nobody would know who the providers are, who the proposals are. They weighted it and scored it and came back to the council and recommended an African-American firm as being the best fit with the lowest price for Jackson, Mississippi for garbage collection services. African-American council people voted it down. Now you got to ask yourself why. You got to ask yourself why would African-Americans, elected officials, vote against an African-American firm that currently picks up garbage in New Orleans and Baton Rouge at over 100,000 homes with over 108 trucks in the street. You got to ask yourself why. How is it possible, Doc, that an African American can vote against that? Help me.
Well, it is possible. It has happened. Now, there is no such thing now, sir, as a blind proposal. Whenever two individuals know anything, others going to know it. So they knew all along who those contractors were from out of state that got that low bid. Information is always leaked. People are in positions just to do that. And many times they are right among the people that they're working with every day. These clerks. I know for a fact that all major people that are movers and shakers have people working in offices. They have gotten them appointed there to look out for their interests in building codes, in contract award, and in personnel development and leadership. There are certain people going to move whether they're qualified or not. And those that are doing things that are not in the interest of the special interest going to be put aside. And they could be the smartest one in office. But watch those charlatans that are leaking information. They're leaking information to certain people. That happens in every institution, the church, the school, government, everywhere.
Well, we're calling on the church and we're calling on the leaders. Again, we're going to take action. We're going to the courts. We're going to file a lawsuit against the city of Jackson for discrimination against African American businesses, class action lawsuit. We're going to do that. We're going to launch the shadow government concept next month, where we're going to put 7 city council peoples, make up just the way it's made up here, 2 whites, 1, 7, 5 blacks. We're going to have a mayor. We're going to have a city clerk. And we're going to discuss the economic disparities in the city of Jackson, and we're going to talk about the missed opportunities. And yes, Ashley Foote, we're going to talk about who the black contractors are that are involved and should be involved, but that were denied. And we're going to talk about African Americans that have contracts that have absolutely nothing to do with the line of work that they're in, while African American firms like National Waste Collection, like Lee Bush Sr., been in the garbage collection business for over 25 years. We're going to talk about how it is that you cut off the potential growth and the productivity and the resources from firms that have devoted their hard-earned money and their sweat and tears for 25 years, but are denied opportunities to pick up any garbage in Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to talk about that, how wrong that is. We're going to talk about how the Mississippi Department of Transportation meets its minority percentages every year on federal contracts by the utilization of white female-owned firms because they're classified as minorities, while black contractors in Jackson, Mississippi, and throughout the state of Mississippi are denied opportunities on every level, while no dollars ever get down to the African-American community. We're going to talk about how they do that, how white females become minorities and how they get the buck share of all of the contracts out of the Department of Transportation. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the white contractors that continue to get all of the contracts out of Jackson, Mississippi that are recommended and awarded by mill managers in the current administration that hate black people. We're going to talk about who they are, where they came from, and what their goal is, and how long must we suffer from this kind of arrogance and this kind of discriminatory policies by mean and hateful and cruel people who hate themselves and their race. We're going to talk about that. We're getting ready to go to a commercial break. I want you to stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
COVID's pioneering coronavirus protocol firm, S2-E COVID Solutions, is paving the way forward for a safer city government, delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols which have been developed internationally by top virologists and scientists, using an all-natural cleaning solution that kills COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. Let S2-E COVID Solutions provide innovative, rapid facilities testing and world-class, state-of-the-art bio-risk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
We're back. Caller, you're on the line. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Sock?
It's all good.
I want to offer a solution to the problem. I would like to see the vendor that you propose to come into a management role, because I've done the math on maybe perhaps getting this city back together, handling the contracts for the garbage, handling the contracts to repair these roads and to dig them up. We have got to get the ball rolling. We have got to come up with solutions, Doc. This is silliness, foolishness at its high order. You have a city council down there, some look kind of, then others look kind of, This is a mess and a shame. But, I did the math on this, and, I'm sitting down right now, and I want the people of the business mind that want to do this. I may have to come to the city council meeting and show what I'm trying to do, because the foolishness going on down there, Stock, don't make sense. So let's just integrate, correlate, and bring this company in as a management company, and combine it with the solid waste division with the city of Jackson and the city of Jackson partnership until we can come under this massive contract. And then we'll be employing the people, give them a good, decent living wage, and let...
Okay. Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you a little later on. We think you have some great ideas, but we want to go on and let others call in.
Go ahead.
One thing, Zach, you were talking about how embarrassed people in the United States will be black people in other cities where Jackson turned down qualified people not even allegedly knowing that the qualified person for a contract is black. I told you that's not true. They knew that. You always knew who those things. But the significant thing is, when you get a shadow government and the county supervisors, the airport, the city of Jackson, and the public schools, that will be one of the most progressive things happen in Mississippi since the abolition of slavery. Cities all over the United States and the world going to pattern their politics after this. And when you have $1.2 billion to spend in Hinds County, and the shadow government are going to make everything transparent, and you see who is making proposals, who is getting the contracts, and who is voting against them, overnight, that will be changed throughout America, and you will bring on that change. You cannot get those 4 units of government together and spend $1.2 billion and make it transparent and see that some people would be cast into a sea of shame. They couldn't even go and talk to their spouse. Their children would be embarrassed to see their fathers and their mothers and see how they've been handled by the special interest groups in the city, in the state, and in the nation. That's a great idea. Shadow government, voter registration.
We're certainly going to launch it. We're going to launch the shadow government, and we're looking for 7 good, qualified city council people to serve with shadow government. And we're looking for a mayor and a city clerk. So every ward. I know calls are being made now. I think we filled 4 of those positions in the city council, but we certainly are going to fill all 7. And we're looking for 2 good white people to serve in this capacity. They don't even have to be good white people. They just need to be white people. Maybe they'll bring that same antagonistic hatred to the council that the current white people bring. And so we're going to put all of that in place, and then we're going to put policies in there. Again, we're going to go over the agenda item, and we're going to discuss it and review it, and we're going to vote on that agenda item just like they did. And we're going to tell our communities what we think they should have done and what minorities or what white folk got the business and why not. And when we're going to be completely transparent. But when we look at 2021, we're going to show that Socrates Garrett Enterprises, one of the largest contractors here in Jackson, Mississippi, did $600,000 worth of business with the city government last year. Then we're going to show that Hemp Hill Construction Company, in that same period of time, did $50 million worth of business last year. And we're going to talk about that disparity, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do about it. But now I want to be real clear. We're not playing any games anymore. When a city government turns on its citizens, when the African Americans turn on African Americans, we're not playing any games anymore, because you're trying to destroy the African American community. You're trying to set us back another 50 years. We're not going to just sit idly by and let you do that. We're not some sheep being led to the slaughterhouse. We know what you're doing, and we know why you're doing it. And we're going to expose it. Shadow government is one way. The other way is that we're going to publish a report card every quarter. The other thing that we're talking about is that we're going to file a class action lawsuit. The city of Jackson is already being sued because of the way that it was handled in the pandemic and things of that nature. We're going to see what attorneys out there are willing and ready to take and file this class action lawsuit on behalf of minority business, just like it was done against black farmers throughout this country. And we hope this model, like you say, takes off throughout this entire country.
It will. Imagine you have the mayor of Jackson, 7 council members, 5 supervisors, a county administrator. Then you get with the school board, shadow superintendent, shadow school board, airport authority, I told you they're spending over $1.2 billion, and they haven't even decided how they're going to spend it. But this shadow government going to decide how to spend it and allocate it, and there be the difference.
And we're going to expose the fact that 80% of our sales tax on our 1% sales tax being spent inside of Wards 1 and 7, where the two white council people reside. 80% of those dollars. And our African American elected officials don't say one word. And then you wonder why your streets are bad, why you don't have signal lights that work, why there are no street lights in your community, why your water pipes are bursting, why you went without water for months last year during an ice storm, where you couldn't flush your toilets, couldn't bathe, couldn't cook. And 80% of your money is being spent in Wards 1 and 7. And you don't say nothing. Well, we're going to say something for you. Shadow government is going to say something for you, and we are on the verge of a boycott of this city. And a boycott of this city simply means that we ask African American citizens not to shop in Jackson. We ask them not to spend any more money in Jackson. That strategy worked well against our oppressors when we had racist white people in the government. The boycott was the most effective tool that we had. Looks like we're going to have to boycott our own people. Shadow government, class action lawsuits, boycotts, and other strategies that will come to bear. We're tired. We will not allow black business people to be treated the way Richard's Disposal Services was treated last Tuesday. An African-American firm, a black man that's been working in this business over 50 years. Started out riding the back of a truck with Waste Management, ended up with his own firm, picking up garbage at over 80,000 houses in New Orleans and 20,000 houses in Baton Rouge. The lowest proposal being recommended by the administration, get to an African-American council and then get voted down, so that the mayor would be forced to go back again with Waste Management. We see y'all. We understand what you're doing. We don't understand why you're doing it. You would have to hate your people to do that. To deny that kind of opportunity, as I said, all of the auxiliary businesses that follow that economic engine, you denied, you killed all that. Doc, I'm going to give you the last minute.
Well, the last minute is very important because that's the best minute. I think the idea that you and your team have put together is excellent. It needs to be executed in 30 days, which it will be. In 60 days, you need to produce your first report. In 90 days, you produce what I call a summative report that shows all the activities, and you do this in a cycle every 30, 60, 90 days. It would be alarming. It would be the greatest thing happened in the last 50 years in America. Think about it. You'll go down in history.
Well, we certainly need the community support. We need council people for shadow government. We need a mayor for shadow government. We need a city clerk for shadow government. Until next week, y'all be safe, and let's get ready to go to war. Have a good evening. Good evening. I'm Socrates Garrett, and we're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South, right here in the African-American-owned broadcasting studio. We believe digital.com, our own platform. And so it's critically important that in the African-American community, we control the narrative. I look forward to receiving opportunities to show and advertise your products for goods and services and to move your brand along in this community. We're broadcasting live on Facebook. When We Believe Digital Podcast, go to Roku and download our app, and We Believe Global, with shows like this to bring articulate, intelligent conversations and dialogue to our platform. So I'm here to continue sounding the alarm. This is how the South is going to rise again.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit